Back on Open Line, we're glad that you've tuned in. If you are just tuning in, you have tuned in to Ask an Expert Evening. This is Ask the Lawyer, and our expert, of course, is none other than Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm. We love it when Kevin's here. He gives us a lot of great advice and gives you a lot of great advice that you can share, of course, with friends, with family, in your own home.
Absolutely.
All right, we promise we're going back to the phone, so Giselle is on the line with us. Giselle, we appreciate your patience. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
I have a question.
Okay. Go ahead, Giselle.
Yes.
Now, and Giselle, if you're listening to the TV, you may need to turn the TV down so that you can talk to us through your phone.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm ready.
Okay,
right,
go ahead.
I have a question. I am a senior citizen, and I would like to get my affairs in order, like to get a living will.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm wondering how much would it cost?
Okay, you know what I try to tell everybody, different lawyers are different prices. You know, there's many living wills that are like $50. I encourage you to consider a power of attorney, a durable power of an attorney. And what is that? That means should you have a stroke, that someone could still operate in your affairs without it. There's also a medical power of attorney that's a little different from that. And if you went to the hospital and you have this situation, you need someone you trust to make a decision, say, yes, you can do this operation, or no, you can't. And most people do not have that, and they don't recognize they need it until we're at the hospital and there's a major problem. I'll bring up one more subject. We have so many people say, well, Mama didn't want to leave and she didn't want to go to the nursing home. Now the home's paid for, Kevin, and so now they're just going to take our home. Again, planning and discussions long before that incident gets there will save your family lots of money and lots of grief. Have you ever heard pay now or pay later? That's really a lot of the lawyer business. So getting your will, getting your living will, getting your durable power of attorney and your medical power of attorney, those are documents I clearly want to recommend.
And we appreciate the call, Giselle. And Kevin, is there a particular age when someone should look into getting a will?
The truth of the matter is, back in '86, I'm riding a horse. My dad said, ride this horse. The saddle slipped and I hit the ground, broke a little vertebrae, and I almost thought it killed me. And I said, here I am, a lawyer, and I don't even have a will. So I want to encourage you, be responsible. Even if you don't have, because so much time, it's like the painter that never paints his house, the automobile mechanic who never fixes his car. I'm telling you, it's important business, and you will be grateful. One more trick of the trade, let me share while I'm on a roll. If Chuck has a child, you really could designate who the guardian over that child's estate would be. If Chuck were killed in a car, and you say, well, and that's my real world, I live it. And so the families come like crazy to get those children. Why? Because if you're killed in an automobile accident, there may be $1 million that goes with that child. So the early bird gets the worm. If you didn't have that document, I got a little harder fight. If you've got that document, watch out. Speed and secrecy are your two greatest friends. And they say, well, I didn't even know you were going to court. Well, here's our order. Right. And once I get on the high ground, you're going to have a hard time getting me off the high ground. And so, but when you're talking about children, that's your life, that's your purpose. And so, grandparents, I hope you're listening. You go to work, because you'll be the one that's standing in the gap.
There you go. So be prepared, be prepared. It's never too early to be prepared.
Absolutely.
Okay, so thank you so much for the call, Giselle. We're going back to the lines right now. Ann is on the line with us. Ann, do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
Ann, did you say?
Yes, Ann.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank Kevin. He directed me in a proper direction a couple of years ago.
Thank you, Ann.
And I am so grateful for that. And in doing so, we have encountered an even bigger problem that this particular attorney is not able to handle for me, and I need your advice on where to turn next.
Yes.
I was awarded 2 different awards in a divorce settlement. She was able to get me a draw of $200 a month on one of them that was worth approximately between $250,000 and $500,000. By the time she was able to do that, of the $1,300 that I got, I owed her $1,100. So I didn't net a lot from that one. But in doing so, she discovered that Prudential, who administers these accounts, had allowed him to cash in the other one, which is over $500,000.
Wow.
And I need to know, she says she can't do it because she can't operate in Florida, which is where the ex lives now. But I think it's going to involve taking on both Prudential and him, because they knew that there were 6 different attempts to get a quadro on this, and yet they allowed him to cash it in anyway.
Well, let me say this. You probably need to talk to the lawyers privately on that jurisdiction. Can it be brought in Tennessee, or will it have to be brought in Florida? Most of the Tennessee lawyers don't have a license in Florida, but they may be able to assist you to find one. And go, go, go. I want to say this. She brought up a really interesting question. Thank you for those comments, and I appreciate them so much. You know, people get divorced all the time, and they say, well, you're going to leave the life insurance policy to me. $250, $500. So they sign, everybody feels good, and they leave. Well, guess what? He gets a new wife and a new life, and he just changes the beneficiary of that policy, and he dies. So, and we see this happen all the time. So these women say, well, I've been ripped off. They got my $250. Well, hold up, hold up. So the lawyers have been very creative. My office has been really good at trying to take on those, and we get the money back, because that court order does make a difference. And so much of the time, it gets into some gray areas. So I'm glad that you've identified. The first thing is identify the issue, and then let's discuss our options. And so the first thing we got to figure out, do you have jurisdiction or venue to bring that in Tennessee or Florida?
Okay, so Ann, we really are glad that you were watching tonight and that you called in about that. So I think that will help a lot of folks right there. So thanks for your call. All right, going back to the lines right now. Carl is on the line with us. Carl, good evening. And do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
I have a question.
Okay.
I live alone because through divorce. My family have nothing to do with me because they have PTSD.
Okay.
I've been blessed. My home is paid for, the cars are paid for, and so forth.
Thank you, Lord.
I had a will that was written several years ago, making my oldest daughter my beneficiary, but she married to a guy that I want them to get nothing. My question is simple. I tried to contact St. Jude to will everything to them, to a charity.
Yep.
They gave me the runaround. How do I go about leaving everything to the state to make sure they get absolutely nothing from me?
Well, and you know, we see quite a few people that get disappointed in the relationships with their children and ex. And if you've been mistreated, you know, that's justifiable that you don't want to leave them any. And I salute people that give to charities. Yes, thank you. And many of the organizations, you just need to see your private lawyer. We could write that. Anyone can do it and leave it to the trustees of the St. Jude's Foundation or whatever. Many times they go to the universities, and they always said, well, now, Kevin, you never gave that big money to the university. And I said, oh, but we saw that it got to the university. And they said, well, how'd you do it? And so many times people are there and they write their wills and they'll leave it, and the money ultimately gets there. So this is a great time. If you do have a problem with family members and you don't want to, that is their problem, not yours. You have the legal authority and the ability to direct your estate how you like.
Okay, makes sense. So, Carl, thank you for your question very much. All right, going back to the lines right now. Joe is on the line with us. Joe, good evening. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
Yeah, so I watch a show. Watch a show from time to time, and I was just curious about the wills that y'all are talking about tonight. Yeah. Just kind of curious, what's the easiest, simplest way of applying for a will for somebody that's on fixed income raising a child by themselves?
Yeah, the easiest way is just to call the lawyer and go. Most all lawyers have free initial consultation, and you can say, well, all I have is this child. Do I really need a little trust that I want to set this child up, or shall I just leave the estate? And you have the options. That's what we've said all night long. It's very minimum. And you know, one of the great things, a lot of churches, and I salute the pastors, want to encourage you to think about it. Pastors could have a little seminar at the church and let someone come in and talk. You know, almost every one of the big charitable organizations I work with, they all the time assist in people with their wills. So that's what I'd recommend. Make the phone call, talk to them about the money, what you want to do.
Okay, makes sense. So, Carl, thank you for your call. We're going back to the lines right now. Joe's on the line with us. Joe, thanks for your patience. And do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
No, sir. That's it. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
And go ahead, Joe. Are you with us? All right, I think we're going to go to the next call. CT, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, well, CT, go ahead. You have a question or a comment for Kevin?
I have a comment for Kevin. I met him a few years ago in Nashville at the flea market.
Yes.
I have a booth up there. He remembers me, I think.
Yes.
And I just wanted to say how much I appreciate you. I think
That
you
is so
have an
sweet.
answer for everything.
You are so kind, and to all my friends at the Nashville Flea Market. You know, everybody says, we don't want to lose the flea, but we understand. And so thank you. That is so sweet. You're so kind, and I appreciate that. And I always love to share. And that's where I have somebody, they always say, well, I saw you and Chuck on TV. And so I always love, so when you see us out, we love to speak to you. It
Absolutely.
makes our day.
CT, thank you so much for calling in.
God bless you.
Yeah, what a great call. Well, we've got more folks on the line. Hang on the line with us, but we do need to take a short break. When we come back, more phone calls with Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm. So come on back with us.